We're going to go ahead and assume that we have now imported these documents and we have a fully fleshed out database that we are now ready to start getting organized for our review. And this, again, the analytics tab is showing that we have imported over 39,000 documents, where we would then hop over into the review tab. We'll touch on the analytics tab more so in analytics through searching, how you can use that to help get organized as well. So I want to hop over into the review tab where we're going to be spending the vast majority of our time in the review phase. So I want to start off with the organizational tools that we have at our disposal in the in NextPoint, and those are folders and folder categories. We've touched on both a little bit, but I want to make sure that we're on the same page as to how these interact with each other. So I'm going to go ahead and click into any one of these folders and say, let's go look at the documents that we've not yet reviewed in this folder. And whenever you run a search or click into something dynamically and it builds out your search syntax for you up here, you'll see what we're looking at here is called our grid view, where you see these different columns. Each of these represents a different metadata field. And each row represents a unique individual document, where this is an email with an attachment, this is a Word document. But one of the metadata fields that I want to focus on is the folders metadata field. So let's go ahead and expand this so we can see each one of these documents and how many folders they've been tagged to. Because folders don't act the same way in the real world as they do in NextPoint. So it's a little bit different than the way we're accustomed to having it. In the real world, if I were to, let's go ahead and take this, any one of these emails, let's take this one entitled investments in all caps. If I had this email in front of me physically on a piece of paper and it applied to multiple issues in my case, and I had folders for each of those issues in my case, and I wanted to apply to those, I would have to physically make a copy of that document and place it into those two different folders. Same thing with your local computer. You would have to make a copy of that document, place it into those two different folders, and then it would take up additional storage space on your computer. And in all likelihood, because of the process that you have instilled with those folders and making the copies of that document, you're going to end up reviewing that document more than once in all likelihood. That's not necessarily the way that NextPoint works. With NextPoint, we can see that this document is tagged to 3 different folders: client docs, email search results, and all documents and data. But it's still that email named investments. Any changes to that document are reflected in any and all of the folders it's tagged to, because it is a unique individual document that has not been copied. So I don't need to review it multiple times. Because this has been in 3 different folders, I'm going to not have to review it 3 different times. I just need to review it once, and it will be reflected in the 3, 4, 5, 10, 15 folders that it's tagged to, depending on how you go about organizing things. And so any changes I make to it, if I were to code this document and say that it is responsive for breach of contract and not privileged, and I mark it as a hot document, all of that is, once I hit save, is going to be reflected in all of those folders at once. And so I don't know if you noticed, but when I clicked into my folder, I didn't just look at the folder, I looked at the folder and the documents that I have not yet reviewed, so that I'm not reviewing things duplicatively multiple times. And so this really helps with not having to spend more time than you need to reviewing documents that you've already looked at. The same way that documents can be tagged to folders without being duplicated, folders can be tagged to folder categories as an outer layer of organization. So an example would be Barry's emails. I could go ahead, if I had multiple clients where I collected their emails for this case, I could create an email or a folder category entitled client emails and tag all of those folders. So you'll see, instead of having all 69 folders that I've created at some point for certain reasons, I can go to this client emails folder category and find all of those folders that are similar to each other, where I've got Albert Myers, Andrea Ring, Barry, Bill, Brad, all of these people's email collections, these folders are all tagged in one space. And so I can group similar folders together. And again, it's not recreating or copying them. This is still a unique copy, so any changes made are going to be reflected anywhere else. So I could tag a single folder to multiple folder categories if it fits the bill. So sometimes people will use this to designate their client email. Sometimes if they have rolling productions and multiple productions in here, they'll go ahead and have those tagged in here as well, from multiple parties or rolling productions that you yourself are producing. You can go ahead and organize them so that you have them grouped similarly. And so I think we already went through how you can go about creating folders upon import through that import process. If you wanted to take documents, actually, let's just run a search on the word contract throughout this entire database. So these are the documents that have the word contract either in them or within their metadata, which you can see on the document title. But I could go ahead and take all of these documents, bulk action, and create a new folder this way and tag these documents to here that have the word, hit on the word contract and name the folder contract, and then go ahead and hit update, and it will tag those documents to that folder. So that'd be one way to create a new folder. You can go back here, click create folder in the review tab, type it in, or you can go to settings, folders, which has its own tab, create new, and go about it this way, where you can also manage, edit, assign folders, delete folders, depending on what it, and activate folders, whatever it is you're trying to do, you can manage that all from here if you're an advanced user in that database. So the reason I show you all the different ways you can go about creating folders is just how instrumental they are into that organizational process as you are setting your database up, especially before you start reviewing. And then simply, if you want to create a folder category, you can type in, hit create category, type in the name of the category, and then select the folders that are going to be part of that in here. And then go ahead and hit create. So an illustration that I like to show, if I go to this blank database, is you can kind of see that documents are that lower level that can be tagged to folders for organization, which can be grouped together into categories for further organization purposes.